Hi, welcome to my video. I'm Jennifer Roberts. You're catching me on my YouTube channel, True Divine 44. You can also get me on my Facebook page, True Divine 44, and it is the True Divine for both Instagram and Twitter. Any likes, shares, subscribes, comments are greatly, greatly appreciated. And much love to everybody who is doing that thus far. I appreciate you all. So I put out as much free content as I can to help support, guide, and inspire those who want to be supported, guided, and inspired. Take what resonates as it is general and leave what does not. I appreciate those comments that help me see how these readings are helping others, and just to see where you are on your track. I'm an observer. I like that, and I like to create that contact with people. So this is for the 21st of November 2020. It's where I combine the energy work that I do, being an energy bender, and the tarot work that I do to help bring a narrative to you, to give you an idea of the energies you may be feeling within you, around you, and indeed within others. So another day, but you know, can be made for a good way. So we have the King of Swords in the upright, and the Eight of Pentacles clarifying. So the King of Swords, you know, isn't just about, for me, intellect, a skill for thinking, a skill for strategizing, a skill for understanding. He also has a skill of taking an authority over his own consciousness. The energy of the King of Swords has a real aptitude for connecting to his higher consciousness and understanding it, and understanding the impact that it has on himself and the people around him, and therefore indeed the collective. And so, sorry, they don't seem to be sitting right at all. That's more comfortable. So for this, we understand that his higher consciousness and the connection that he has to that, and the understanding of the impact of the ability to balance out and channel through his higher consciousness is super important. And it's super important for the times that we're in right now, as it is in general, but in particular the times that we're in right now. We're in the throes and in the midst of a long-awaited plan that has been passed down from generation to generation to channel the collective in a certain direction that will continue to serve the few and continue to hurt the many in a lot of ways. And so the King of Swords here, with this Eight of Pentacles. If you see here, this Eight of Pentacles, all of these ladies are working together. They're all accomplishing something in a different way. There's one baking there. There's one flattening the flour, and I couldn't think of the word there, using a rolling pin to flatten out the grain. Then we have the other one making a tapestry, and the other one helping her to feed the thread into the tapestry. And so there's this collective working together, and that is coming from the fact that all of these females are taking a key out of the King of Swords book, in that they are connecting to the higher consciousness enough to know that one cannot do all, but many can do many different things and complete those things in their entirety. So the King of Swords is really great at seeing and appreciating skill sets within others, and enabling them to achieve those skill sets, enabling them to have the material or the wherewithal to complete whatever they are skilled in, which then, of course, is in the making for a much smoother and community-based providing of things that we need. without the need for ego in that you have to be the best, but just to understand what you are good at and go on to achieve that. So it has a great way of delegating. And so right now we see that we need to do this within our own selves. We need to delegate ourselves to what we know we are here to do, what we know we can achieve, what we know we are good at doing. But also we need to be able to work as a community. So looking at the skill sets of others and having some reciprocity towards each other about that, to build in our own way rather than being usurped by the agenda of others right now, which is to divide us, which is to put us on such an ego trip that we think we have to be the best at everything or that we have to know everything. And so it's a working together, very definitely. Now, some things happening within many people's lives that is both good and part of this process so that you can get to this stage of being able to appreciate and work with one another. But with the next card, it's the Four of Wands in reverse. And so the Four of Wands in reverse, this has come up a few times, the Four of Wands and the upright. It's all about the home, the small circle that you have around you. The Four of Wands in reverse, you know, it's trouble in the home. It's things, you know, coming apart in the home, threads, you know, being threadbare, you know, people say things are threadbare when they're literally just a tiny bit away, a tiny bit more friction away from being a whole in the material. And so things that haven't been working for a while within the home, energies that have not been working together well within the home for a long time, you're seeing that they are threadbare. There's very little there to hold things together anymore. And so this is difficult, of course. And often I think this is going to it's going to affect the people that, again, haven't heeded the warning about, you know, separating from people who cannot work with you like this, who cannot be without ego, and who cannot work together and appreciate the skill sets that you have, who you are, what you're here to do. So we're seeing that the fallout of that is happening for a lot of people, that this threadbare scenario is fast becoming a hole that cannot be mended. And so, yes, that is sad for a lot of people, but necessary for a lot of people also. Now, with this Two of Wands, clarifying this Four of Wands, it is that you're still in a place of denial about this, in that you have sort of an embryonic action about you towards taking action towards these holes that are being seen within the home, but you're not in the Three of Wands yet, which would be to take full-on action and to do something about it. So there's a lot of pondering here, there's a lot of wondering, and almost the inability to see the problem for all of the arguments and noise that there is. It's sort of hiding the core problems, and people are avoiding looking at the core problems and arguing over the menial stuff. And this is where we see lots of small arguments erupting out of seemingly nowhere. We see a lot of silence, you know, the silent treatment amongst people in the home. And so this is affecting everybody within that circle, within that small circle. And so then we have the Eight of Wands as the next card. And so this speaks of messages coming in, you know, so this could be from your higher consciousness with this King of Swords here. being able to see a different way of things working, because here we have the Eight of Pentacles, here we have the Eight of Wands. So it might be that you are receiving today a lot of messages from your higher consciousness, from ancestors, from guiders, that want to aid you in finding a way to get people to work together within this circle, within this home. On the converse side, it might be that you are receiving messages in various forms in the physical, you know, how we all receive messages on apps, on through the telephone, through speaking, but they are coming in thick and fast, that will either make that hole just rip into an irreparable divide, or will actually bring people together. Now, I'm getting here, the Knave of Pentacles comes in to clarify this Eight of Wands. And so this is a childlike energy. And so this speaks of out of the mouths of babes to me, in that there may be something said from a child within these homes, within these circles, that actually tears this hole into a rip. The fact that the children would be affected greatly by this imbalance within the home, and the go-to has been to maintain the home, maintain the relationship, no matter what, for the children. But if you are in the Four of Wands in reverse and the Two of Wands, that is not going to actually aid the children. That is actually going to damage them more than if you were co-parenting from a distance from each other. And so it might be that some of you are hearing just certain off-the-cuff sentences or words spoken from a child within this circle that actually erupts things or makes people stop and think. That there's two sides to that coin also. Yeah, it's a difficult situation. It's a difficult situation, you know, and the energies did warn to help people to stop and avoid this situation being quite so difficult. And you know, it is what it is, that some people may not have caught that message, some people not have may been ready to act on that message. But it is a very definite underlying continuous message of 2020 that has been coming through the underneath, the underpinning energy has been, or has one of them has been this. And so it's a situation that has come about now, and is coming to an eruptive end, whether that is an eruptive end to then go on to taking action to maintain and rebuild, or whether that is an eruptive end as to separate, but then hopefully rebuild, you know, especially if children are involved in a different way, whether it's a co-parenting way, something that always works for the children. You know, my heart, the foundation, the children are at the heart of my foundations, and their welfare. So this is a difficult read for me to do, because, you know, it's I know it all too well, this scenario and how it can affect the children. And it's very important that as the adults, we take this on the chin and deal with it, basically. So if you are in this situation, you know, I send you out my love, but I also tell you straight that, you know, you need to grow up and deal with it. No more shouting, no more arguing in front of the children, and there needs to be honest conversation in private, which I know is hard because of all of the lockdowns and things, having to spend a lot of time at home with the children, and they're there too. But, you know, to go out in the garden and discuss things and make a pact that neither will raise the voice should not be too difficult when it comes to the welfare of your children. You know, sometimes we can be selfish as adults regarding the decisions we make, and then feeling like the victim when those decisions that we should have made come to the fore, that come to the point where they need to be dealt with. So, you know, there's a little bit of a chastisement there that you could maybe give yourself, and give yourself a shake. And no matter what the outcome of this, that, you know, the children are affected in the least possible way. So on the bottom of the deck, we have the Lovers card. And so this is about making major decisions, particularly about unions, particularly about relationships, but huge decisions nevertheless. If none of this reading or some of this reading resonated with you, all of us can see that the Lovers card here resonates with all of us right now, in that there are major decisions to make about going forward in a balanced way. That from the collective stage point of view, and those that are trying to usurp us, those that are trying to channel us into a certain direction, not a very good direction, we see that they have been able to do that because we have not been able to be adult enough, that with all of their games and their dark magic, low frequency magic that they throw out, that we haven't been able to be grown enough to stay in a balanced state. And from that imbalanced state, we can be channeled so much easier into directions in a much unthinking way. And so this is about, you know, air. It's a Gemini card. It's the twins. It's the yin and the yang, the balance, the divine feminine, divine masculine within, and in particular, if you are in union, the balance between yourself and the other person. And so major decisions either way to be made regarding how you go forward, but they must be made. Otherwise, you will see yourself in a much more difficult position further down the line, and the children will be affected in a much more damaging way. You know, this needs to be said. And so on the bottom of the deck, on the other one, is the 3, which is the Empress card. Now, this is to speak of the reminder, the strong reminder of our realities are created through our thoughts, our words, and our deeds. And so again, if none of the rest of the reading resonated with you, these 2 cards resonate with us all right now, because as a collective, not acting in a balanced state every which way that we can, and speaking out things just so easily, you know, words have become so cheap and so easy and so quick, when actually words, all of them, are a form of magic, in that way, and our thoughts are magic. I mean, look how brilliant it is that nobody can actually grab a thought and contain it in a jar and see it and know it and feel it. No, these are an enigma. Nobody actually knows where they reside. They certainly don't reside within the body, yet they affect the body directly, yet they affect what we create. Our thoughts, our words, and our deeds create our reality. And we've been taught to talk a lot, say a lot, and then with all of the other things, you know, the adverts, the propaganda, we speak out the doom and gloom. We speak out illness over ourselves. We speak out curses over other people just so cheaply and freely. And if we are doing that from an imbalanced state, we're doing that from a state of the where we are causing collateral damage. And so we are only seeing this whole scenario that we are in now in 2020 in a huge part because we did not act like the Lovers card and the Empress card combined. We did not act to make decisions with our own discernment from our own balanced state, and we got fooled into, with complacency, into having cheap words where we will speak things over people, we will speak things over ourselves. How many times today have you had a self-deprecating thought? How many times have you had that self-deprecating thought and then you've spoken it out loud to yourself in the mirror? How many times have you done that towards somebody else today? These things are all a part of what the magic we've created, the reality that we've created. Now, these beings, the powers that be, they're basically taking advantage of what is there. They're taking advantage of an unbalanced, not discerning collective, with the lack of knowledge of how much our thoughts, our words, and our deeds create the reality. So they come in and they just allow us to do the work as usual and harness that energy of self-deprivation. They harness that energy of hatred. They just harness it and see where they can channel it. And so we can take back a lot of ground today by being powerful with our words, by speaking power over ourselves and over others, by speaking dignity over ourselves and over others, by speaking beauty over the nature that we see ourselves and others, you know, and teaching our children how to do this is so important. And you know, it is more difficult than ever, I feel, to do that with children. You know, I try and limit and channel any energies that are coming into my home. And as well as the internet is a huge blessing, in particular with my 10-year-old, you know, he is coming out with sometimes some hateful words that he doesn't realize how hateful they are. And of course, his intent behind them is not a continuous thread of hate towards his little brother, but in that moment of frustration, that intent is there. And so to speak that over, to try and explain that to him, I'm not saying that that is an easy task. As a mother, I can tell you that I'm with you. It is a hard thing to balance because, you know, the outside world with the internet has a capacity to get into your home wherever, whenever it likes. And so there are things that as a mother I'm having to do with my 10-year-old in that, you know, headsets, controllers, mics, they all go away of a night time and they're hidden. And I'm having to find different hiding places. He wants to find them. He wants to, you know, sneakily be able to have more of that. And it's, and that can't happen because if it's when I'm asleep and he wakes up and is sneaking around, then I'm not in charge. I'm not listening in to what is being said or what is coming in to my home. And so it is a difficult time to be as the King of Swords, in that authority about what words or find their way into your consciousness or your children's consciousness, what kind of ways of thinking are finding their way in. It's not that it's an easy task, but it's something that we must do for our children, but also for ourselves, and lead by example, to speak love over ourselves, over others, and over our reality, you know, to be in reverence of the opportunity that we have here, to be in reverence of even the difficulties that we are in and how we can rise above them, as this King of Swords does, as this Lover's card does, with discernment and decisive action, as this Empress does with being in grace and poise and in control of our higher consciousness, connected with the King of Swords, our thoughts, our words, and our deeds. This is such an important message continuously, but you know, today it is a super important message that I hope I've emphasized in an eloquent way, and I hope I've gotten the message across in a way that is understandable, and I hope I've emphasized the gravity of this understanding, the gravity of this skill set, that it's necessary now. It is so necessary to do. And the fruits of this will be seen immediately. Immediately. So can you imagine if others are talking like me and others then go talk to others like that, and then we just have this, even a relatively small amount worldwide understanding this concept, we would see a completely different tomorrow. So it is important to grasp this. It's important to spread this message, and it is super important to infuse this message into our young. Super, super important, because there's so much there that's trying to take that away from them. There's so much there that's trying to strip them from that. The games, the movies, the adverts, the other kids that are then getting those adverts, the movies and the games, you know, that aren't high consciousness games. There's very few of them. So it's a great message to be spreading today. So if you do anything today for the collective and for yourself, be decisive, be discerning, and be the Empress. Know that your thoughts, your words, and your deeds create not only your reality, but the reality around you. And therefore that will have a direct effect, for good or bad, on those around you. So that's the message for the 21st of November 2020. If you'd like a personal reading with me, any spiritual guidance, any energy work to get yourself centered and grounded and have the ability to channel your energy like a rock star, then you can get in touch with me at truedivinemedia@gmail.com, or you can hit me up on my business page at Facebook, True Divine 44. Much love. Subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you to the new subscribers that have come overnight. I really appreciate you. And that is an amazing thing for you guys to do for me. So share this out, subscribe, and most of all, accept my love today. And the speaking of my intent that you have a fantastic day filled with bliss, filled with awe, and filled with the abundance that you require. Mwah. Much love.